Hello again, my name is Dimitrios Tosidis and I'm editor at Udacity. So today I'm going to speak about machine learning with AWS and about the AWS SageMaker service of AWS. So in the previous session I have spoken about how to train and make a model, and after that I have spoken in another session about how to deploy a model. These are two very essential things, but of course if you train a model you cannot know that the model is good enough, okay? And if you're going to deploy this model, then you're going to deploy a model that is not good enough and doesn't make good predictions, doesn't have very high accuracy. So what's the solution for that? Of course, we know that the solution is to tune the model. Okay, you have to train the model. After that, you have to tune the model in order to have the as good as it gets, the model, the best model that you can find, that you can train. And at the end, if you train the model, tune the model, after that, you can, of course, deploy the model and make the predictions in the production line. So today's presentation is about how to tune a model in the AWS SageMaker. You can do that in an automatic way. Of course, AWS SageMaker has functionality about that, and I'm going to show you today's presentation. So let's share my screen. So here, today's theme, today's subject is hyperparameter tuning using SageMaker. My name is Dimitrios Tosidis, and this is for the AWS machine learning or machine learning with AWS. And this is about the AWS SageMaker service of AWS. Okay. So again, we have these two approaches, these two ways how to write code inside the AWS SageMaker. So the first one is with the SageMaker Python SDK, which is a Python SDK library. And the second one is about AWS SDK for Python. So in the first approach, the Python SDK, you're writing code, Python code, and there are some APIs, high-level APIs that are going to be called, and these are going to do the job for you. So you call the APIs, and the APIs are training and are deploying the model and so on. And of course, they can tune the models. And the second approach is the AWS SDK for Python. So this is an AWS library that has functions that are creating sources, and they are calling the service, and the services are creating the sources for them. Okay. So the first approach is a high level, let's say. The second one is a low level with more details, and you can see live how the sources are created. And of course, you can see the traffic of the data inside the CloudWatch and inside the AWS services. Okay, so you can manage in real time in the second approach with more details. Okay, and the first approach is more abstract. So let's go to see what happens. So with the first approach, the AWS SageMaker has a hyperparameter tuner class. Okay, this class makes the objects. So with these objects, you can train. You have a tuner that is tuning the model. It is tuning the trained model, and in an automatic way, and you can get the best model as it can for you. Okay. So this is a code snippet. Let's see what happens, how you can have a hyperparameter tuner object. What's going on from SageMaker.tuner, which is SageMaker is the class, tuner is the subclass of it. That's about to tune the models. You import integer parameter class, which is about objects that has integer, about parameters, hyperparameters that have integer values. And after that, you import the continuous parameter class, which is about the hyperparameters that have continuous values. Okay, so some classes have integer values, some other classes have continuous values, of course. Some hyperparameters according to their hyperparameters that they are managing. Okay, and at the end, you have the hyperparameter tuner, which is the class that has all the functions that are tuning the models. Okay, so here you have this. You are making this is the you are making this object. This is the hyperparameter tuner. So you put inside it the initial values. Okay, so in this phase of the project, you have trained the model, you have a call with the estimator API. So you have an estimator object right now. And the first argument for this object is this XGB, which is an estimator object, okay, which has been made out of the estimator API class. And after that, the second argument is about the validation RMC. So the validation is taking place according to the RMC error, okay. And after that, there's another argument. You have to minimize this error. And after that, it is the max jobs. So the maximum number of jobs and of models is 20. So you have to make 20 models to tune around 20 models in order to find the best one. And at the end, you have to train in parallel way 3 models, 3 jobs and 3 models behind them. So you are comparing 3 models each time. And at the end, this is the main thing. What is going to be tuned? This is the hyperparameter ranges that you're going to set it. And the AWS SageMaker is going to tune it by itself. Okay. So here you put the ranges, and the AWS SageMaker is discovering the ranges in order to find the best values out of these ranges for these hyperparameters, and this is going to tune the model and find the best one. So here you have the max depth, for example. So if you have a decision tree, then the max depth has to be trained with this range of hyperparameters and is going to be tuned in this range. Okay, and here you need this integer parameter because it is integers from 3 to 12 depth of the branching. After that, you have the eta, which is a continuous parameter, which is a hyperparameter just like a learning rate, let's say. So this is going to be tuned around these values from 0.05 till 0.5. And after that, it is the minimum child weight. So here the model is going to be tuned with in the range of these values from 2 to 8, the weights, the child weights. And after that, it is some sampling that takes place from 0.5 to 0.9 in the continuous in this continuous range. And at the end, it is a gamma. It's another hyperparameter like eta. So I have shown the gamma in the first theoretical presentations about linear algebra and neural networks, let's say, and so on. So this is another hyperparameter, continuous parameter like the learning rate, let's say, from 0 to 10. Okay. So with 2 words, here is the hyperparameter tuner object that it's taking your trained model. You put here the hyperparameters, and here are the ranges inside these ranges. Okay. So in this dictionary, and you have your object that is going to tune your model already. Okay. Let's go to the next slide. So the next slide is you have your tuner, and the next step is to feed the data. Okay. So here the data is in an S3 bucket, and this S3 bucket needs something like a channel in order to join this bucket and take the data out of it. Okay, so the SageMaker class has another class and subclass S3 input. Okay, so this class is making an object that is a channel that has the data, gets the data out of the S3 bucket, and they are available for the AWS SageMaker models. Okay, so here the S3 input is it's going to make a new object, and here it needs the train location, the data location for the training. And after that, the content type of this data is the CSV, comma separated values. Okay, so you have here this input object, this data channel for the input of the model, and here you have the second data channel object for the validation. Okay, for the validation data. So you need training data and validation data in this phase of the project. And in this stage, you have again SageMaker S3 input. So this is the same thing, but the location of the data is another location. So the location of the validation data. Okay, and then again is CSV data. And at the end, you have the hyperparameter tuner. You have the data. You're gonna feed the data inside the tuner. And here, this takes the two channel objects, okay, to feed it with the data, and it takes the object, but it also can take the dictionaries. Okay, so here you put this as a key to train for this channel object, and you put the validation key here to the other channel object for the validation data. Okay, and if you feed it, at the end there is a best object that is coming out of it, and you can find it also with another function. So here you have again this hyperparameter tuner object, and it has a function, best training job. So if you call this, then the best training job is gonna be retrieved. Okay, and you have the model that you want. Okay, so this is the best solution that the tuner has found. Okay, so it has discovered solutions around 20 models. It has tuned all of them, and this is the best one. So you get this, the best training job, like this. You call it and you get it. And after that, this is the estimator with the best performing hyperparameters. So here, the first object, estimator object that is has trained the model, it has remained, and you can use it for the best model at the end after the tuning. Okay, how to do that? You can attach the best model to this estimator instance, or to this instance of the estimator. Okay. So here again, SageMaker class, estimator subclass, and you got here this function attach. So you can attach the best model to the estimator, to the estimator object, to the initial estimator object. Okay, and here, how to do that? Of course, with the previous function, hyperparameter tuner object, best training job. Okay, and here you attach the best model inside the instance. Okay, so with this, let's say, 3-4 steps, with you have the approach, the first approach with the SageMaker Python SDK in order to tune the model. Okay, so let's go to the second approach. So the second approach is with the create hyperparameter tuning job service, and this service is gonna tune the model. So this service is gonna make a new source inside the AWS, and it's gonna tune the model, and the model will be ready for deploying again. It's gonna find the best model, and the model, model can be deployed and have good predictions. So how to do that? How to use that? Create the tuning job session. Again, you have a session class which has all the functionality of this session, that the instance of the AWS SageMaker notebook. And after that, this is a subclass SageMaker client. So it makes a client. And at the end, you got this create hyperparameter tuning job service, this function that is gonna be called, and the source is gonna be created. So create hyperparameter tuning job, and after that, what you have to do is to give a unique name. So this is the hyperparameter tuning job name. So this is a unique name that you have to create, because an AWS source is gonna be created under this name. So all the AWS sources around the world have a unique name. So you have to produce a unique name for this source by yourself. And after that, you have to give here hyperparameter tuning job config. So this is the configuration of this job. So here you're gonna give all kind of hyperparameters that the model, that the job or the model is gonna tune. It's gonna tune them. Okay. So here you have to give this gamma, eta, and so on that I have shown in the previous. You have also to give how many models you want to train, and how many models are going to be tuned, and how many models in parallel are going to be compared inside the tuning. Okay, and this is going to tune this range, and also the ranges that you want your models to be tuned. Okay, this is the whole thing, how to do that. And at the end, you have also to give here training job definition. This is a training params that inside it, it's another dictionary, just like the tuning job config, but this time are some specific things that you have to give, and these are not to be tuned. These are, for example, the capacities of the instance, the data location, and of course, which model are you gonna use in order to be tuned. Okay, so you have to give also some static hyperparameters. So this dictionary has some specific values that about the model, and this dictionary has the ranges and the hyperparameters that are going to be tuned. Okay, so after that, this is the whole thing. You call the service is creating the source, and this is the tuner for your model. Okay, and you have to wait a bit because it takes long time in order to tune the model. So it may take 5 minutes, for example, if you have a good instance, an extra large instance. And here you give the job name, just taken from here. And for the wait for tuning, you can wait until the models are tuned. Okay, and the mesh model is gonna be found. Okay, so with this function out of the session class, you're gonna wait. It waits in general the instances that are running. So right now it waits for this instance, tuning job name, that has this create hyperparameter tuning job function. And at the end, after this is completed, you have the tuned object that is the best one. Okay. At the end, you have here, you can also retrieve some info out of the source. And here it is the Sage session again, class, SageMaker client, subclass. And at the end, this function, another function, described hyperparameter tuning job. Okay. So with this job, with this described hyperparameter tuning job, you can give again the name and you get the whole thing, the whole configuration. You can see the whole configuration and which parameters have been tuned and so on. So you see you see a description of the whole job. You see the whole configuration in 2 words. Okay, so you can call this create hyperparameter tuning job, and you see the results, of course, in the AWS SageMaker. So this is the AWS console. Tuning takes place inside the training. So here you got the algorithms, you got the training jobs that we have seen in the previous session. And at the end, you have the hyperparameter tuning job. So here you can see a source that has been created after running the create hyperparameter tuning job. Okay, and how is going on. This was today's presentation. It was about how to tune the model inside the AWS SageMaker. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please leave a comment in the chat. I'm stopping sharing. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next session. Bye.